The play was a thrill to do. It was funny, the audience loved it, the performances were brilliant.
Everyone knows the words to the Piña Colada Song. It's one of the most famous feel-good hits in radio history. But the man who created it, Rupert Holmes, walked a path filled with shocking turns that the music industry never told you about. Right when he finally conquered the entertainment world, everything changed in an instant, leading to a sudden exit from the pop charts and a deep personal heartbreak that altered his life forever. Join us as we look past the sunny hits and uncover the true, untold story of Rupert Holmes. Born David Goldstein, long before his name became synonymous with tropical drinks and clever pop hooks, the man the world knows as Rupert Holmes began life under a completely different identity. He was born David Goldstein on February 24, 1947, in the town of Northwich, located in Cheshire, England. Music was a central part of his household from the very beginning. His father was an American Army warrant officer who also worked as a big band leader, giving young David an early and deep exposure to the world of performance, rhythm, and instrumentation. His mother was English, providing a stable, cross-cultural grounding during his earliest years in the United Kingdom. When David was just 6 years old, his family packed up and relocated across the Atlantic to New York City. Growing up in the bustling, culturally rich environment of New York allowed him to absorb a massive variety of sounds and artistic influences. The family eventually settled slightly north of the city in Rockland County, where he attended and successfully graduated from Nanuet High School. It was during these formative school years that his passion for creating music transformed from a childhood hobby into a serious career path. To turn that passion into a profession, David enrolled in the prestigious Manhattan School of Music. There, he underwent rigorous classical training, deep diving into the mechanics of formal composition and learning the complex theories behind musical arrangement. This classical foundation taught him exactly how different instruments interact and how to build a song from the ground up, skills that would later give him a massive advantage when he shifted his focus away from classical concert halls and toward the competitive world of commercial pop music. Amidst this intense musical development, his personal life was also taking shape. He crossed paths again with Elizabeth Lisa Wood-Dreyfus, a childhood acquaintance. The two formed a strong bond, and in 1969, they got married. While Lisa would later go on to build a successful career as an attorney, her partnership with David provided a reliable anchor just as he was about to step into the chaotic music industry. Now fully trained and newly married, the young musician was ready to drop his birth name, adopt the moniker Rupert Holmes, and try to break into the music business. But before he could write his own massive hits, Rupert had to pay his dues behind the scenes in the strange, high-pressure world of studio pop. Inside the bubblegum machine, fresh out of music school, Rupert Holmes jumped straight into the fast-paced world of late 1960s commercial pop music. At that time, AM radio was dominated by bubblegum pop, highly manufactured, catchy songs created by studio professionals rather than traditional touring bands. Rupert found constant work in New York City as a session musician, arranger, and freelance writer. This meant he was a hireable hand who helped orchestrate background tracks, clean up musical charts, and play instruments on records for other artists. It was a grueling grind, but it gave him first-hand experience in learning exactly what made a song catch a listener's ear on the radio. During this period, Rupert's reliable skills brought him into the inner circles of some massive musical acts. He began arranging musical charts and setting up early preview performances for established stars like the legendary vocal group The Platters and pop singer Gene Pitney. Working with these high-profile artists proved that the young musician could handle the intense pressure of the mainstream music business. His first major career breakthrough happened because of complicated studio politics. Rupert crossed paths with Ron Dante, the famous studio vocalist who sang lead on the massive 1969 hit song Sugar, Sugar for the cartoon band The Archies. The powerful music producer Don Kirshner did not want Ron Dante singing on competing projects after that success. However, Ron was already secretly working on an album for a studio front group called The Cufflinks. To keep the project moving forward, Rupert stepped into the studio to help write and produce the remaining material. When the situation became too complicated to release the music under the Cufflinks name, the record company credited the tracks to a brand new studio group called Street People. Because they needed a strong vocalist to finish the records, Rupert actually stepped up to the microphone himself. He sang lead vocals on the track Jennifer Tompkins, which surprised the industry by climbing all the way to number 36 on the national music charts in 1970. He followed it up by singing lead on another minor hit called Thank You Girl. Rupert was finally a charting singer, but his next musical project would take a much darker, weirder turn. Up next, see how Rupert shocked the radio world by turning a taboo topic into a top 20 hit, chasing charts. After tasting success with studio pop, Rupert Holmes decided to try something incredibly bold and unusual. In 1970, he partnered with an unknown rock group from Pennsylvania called The Boys. Wanting to create a song that would get noticed no matter what, Rupert wrote a track called Timothy. On the surface, the song sounded like a bright, catchy, and upbeat pop tune. However, the lyrics told a darkly humorous story about 3 miners who get trapped underground after a cave-in. By the time the miners are rescued, only 2 of them remain, strongly implying that they had resorted to cannibalism to survive. Because the song dealt with such a shocking and taboo subject, it immediately ran into trouble with radio programmers. Many major radio stations refused to play the track, and some censors tried to ban it from the airwaves entirely. To save the song, the record company tried to claim that Timothy was actually a pack mule rather than a human being, though nobody really believed it. Despite the pushback, the controversy made listeners incredibly curious. People kept requesting the song, and it defied the censors by climbing all the way to number 17 on the Billboard Top 40 charts in 1971. This unexpected success turned the Boys into a hot commodity, and the record company rushed them into the studio to make a full album. Rupert stayed on as their primary creative force, writing nearly every single song for their self-titled 1971 debut album. While none of the other tracks matched the shock value of Timothy, Rupert did score another minor chart hit for the band with a dramatic song called Give Up Your Guns. The massive buzz surrounding Timothy proved that Rupert was a highly unique songwriter who knew how to get the public's attention. Big record executives took notice of his ability to blend catchy melodies with complex stories. Rupert leveraged this new industry fame into a major personal victory, signing a solo recording deal and a movie scoring contract with Epic Records. This gave him the freedom to release music under his own name and eventually catch the eye of one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. Wait until you see how a major Hollywood superstar discovered Rupert's solo music and changed his career forever. Streisand discovers widescreen. With a major contract secured at Epic Records, Rupert Holmes finally got the chance to share his own personal musical vision with the world. In 1974, he released his very first solo album, which he titled Widescreen. The album was highly unique because Rupert wrote the songs to feel like miniature movies, filled with rich characters, dramatic plot lines, and sweeping orchestration. Critics absolutely loved the record, praising Rupert for his advanced storytelling abilities. However, everyday radio listeners were not quite sure what to make of it, and the album failed to sell well or make a major impact on the music charts. Even though the public overlooked the album, it ended up in the hands of one of the most powerful people in the entertainment industry, Barbra Streisand. She listened to Widescreen and became an instant, passionate fan of Rupert's work. Recognizing his immense talent, Streisand personally tracked him down and hired him. For a young artist whose solo career had just stalled, getting a personal phone call from a massive Hollywood superstar was the ultimate endorsement. This connection turned into a close professional partnership. Streisand brought Rupert in to help create her 1975 album, Lazy Afternoon. Instead of just writing a song or two, Rupert was given the massive responsibility of producing and arranging major segments of the record. He even got to sit down with Streisand to co-write a beautiful song called By the Way. Working on this project proved to the music industry that Rupert could successfully guide and shape the sound of a legendary vocalist. Their success together on the album opened up an even bigger door in Hollywood. Streisand was preparing to star in her massive 1976 movie remake of A Star is Born, and she wanted Rupert by her side. He contributed multiple original musical compositions to the film and handled extensive production work for the soundtrack. The movie became a gigantic box office hit, and the soundtrack sold millions of copies worldwide. This gave Rupert massive industry respect and financial stability, allowing him to focus back on his solo career and create the most famous song of his entire life. Next, find out how a simple newspaper ad helped Rupert write a song that completely took over the world. Crafting the Pina Colada. Following his successful work with Barbra Streisand, Rupert Holmes became a highly sought-after studio producer during the late 1970s. He spent years working behind the scenes to help other artists shape their sound. He produced a self-titled album for a group called Orchestra Luna in 1974, an album called Trouble for the pop band Sailor in 1975, a record called Big Beat for the rock group Sparks in 1976, and an album named Deep Cuts for the British rock band The Strawbs that same year. While he was busy helping other musicians, Rupert kept trying to find his own commercial success as a solo artist. This pursuit caused him to shift between different record labels, moving away from Epic Records to sign with Private Stock and later MCA Records. In 1978, he released a solo album called Pursuit of Happiness. The main song from that record was called Let's Get Crazy Tonight. It barely made it onto the music charts, turning into another disappointing near miss for his solo career. Everything changed completely in 1979 when he recorded his next album, Partners in Crime. For this project, Rupert wrote a story-driven song titled Escape, the Piña Colada Song. He used a clever writing technique to trick the listener at the very end of the story. The song describes a man who is bored with his current relationship, so he reads the newspaper classifieds and answers a personal ad from a mysterious woman. When he goes to a bar to meet this new person, he discovers that the woman who wrote the ad is actually his own current girlfriend. They realize they both secretly want the same things, like drinking piña coladas and getting caught in the rain, and they stay together. This incredibly catchy song instantly connected with the public. At the very end of 1979, the song rocketed all the way to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. This massive success helped the Partners in Crime album achieve gold status, meaning it sold over 500,000 copies. Rupert proved he could keep making hits by releasing 2 more popular songs from the same album, with him reaching #6 and Answering Machine reaching #32. But just as Rupert reached the absolute peak of the pop music world, he made a surprising choice to walk away from it all, walking away from pop. Following the massive global success of his late 1970s hits, Rupert Holmes found himself facing a rapidly changing music industry. He released a new solo album called Adventure in 1980, followed quickly by another album named Full Circle in 1981. However, the musical tastes of the general public were shifting very fast. The smooth, story-driven pop music and soft rock style that Rupert was famous for were suddenly falling out of fashion on mainstream radio. Because of this major shift in trends, his new songs failed to find a large audience, and none of his singles managed to break into the important top 40 music charts. Rupert recognized that his time as a mainstream pop singer was winding down, and he decided to address this directly in his work. The very last track on his Full Circle album was a song titled The End. This song turned out to be incredibly prophetic. Through its message, Rupert was intentionally making a final, far-seeing farewell statement to the traditional pop music business. He chose to walk away from recording solo pop albums on his own terms before the industry could push him aside. Instead of giving up on his creativity, Rupert entered a transition era and pivoted toward alternative forms of entertainment. He began working in television, which included providing voice acting and musical support for a popular early 1980s animated cartoon series called The Raccoons. This television work gave him a fresh outlet to share his talents with younger audiences without the constant pressure of radio charts. At the same time, Rupert proved that his songwriting skills were still highly valuable to other performers. In 1986, he wrote a song called You Got It All for a popular pop group named The Jets. The song became a massive success, climbing all the way into the top 3 on the charts. The track was so timeless that years later, global pop icon Britney Spears recorded her own cover version of it to include on international releases of her famous 2000 album, Oops, I Did It Again. Rupert was officially done with the pop charts as a solo act, but an unexpected invitation was about to launch him into a completely new career on the theater stage. Up next, find out how a tragic personal loss happened at the exact same time Rupert achieved his greatest victory on Broadway. Broadway triumph, sudden tragedy. As Rupert Holmes stepped away from pop radio, he began performing intimate music shows in New York cabaret clubs. During one of these casual performances, his sharp wit and clever storytelling caught the attention of a very important couple in the audience. Joseph Papp, a famous theater producer who ran the New York Shakespeare Festival, and his wife Gail Merrifield were deeply impressed. They saw that Rupert had a unique talent for theatrical writing and encouraged him to create a full-length literary musical for the stage. Rupert decided to take on an incredible creative challenge by adapting The Mystery of Edwin Drood, which was the final unfinished novel written by Charles Dickens. Because Dickens died before writing the ending, no one knew who the real murderer was. Rupert tackled this project completely on his own, which is very rare in theater. He wrote the entire storybook, composed all the music, penned every lyric, and created all the complex musical arrangements for the orchestra. To solve the problem of the missing ending, he came up with a revolutionary idea. At a crucial moment in every single performance, the show would stop and the audience members would vote on who they thought the killer was. This meant the actors had to memorize multiple different endings and perform whichever one the crowd chose that night. The innovative show made its big Broadway debut in August 1985 and became an instant sensation. Audiences loved the interactive fun, and critics showered the production with praise. At the legendary Tony Awards, Rupert achieved a massive sweep. He won the highly prestigious awards for Best Musical, Best Book of a Musical, and Best Original Score. In a single night, he had completely conquered the theatrical world and proved himself to be a master of the stage. However, right at the absolute peak of this professional triumph, Rupert's life was shattered by an unimaginable personal tragedy. In 1986, his 10-year-old daughter, Wendy, passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. She had been suffering from a brain tumor that was completely undiagnosed because it showed no symptoms at all until it was too late. The shocking loss of his young daughter completely devastated Rupert and his family, casting a long, dark shadow over all of his recent career achievements and changing his perspective on his work forever. See how Rupert used his love for puzzles and mysteries to find a new purpose after his world fell apart. Reinvents the Edgar mystery. Following the devastating loss of his young daughter, Rupert Holmes made a major psychological pivot in his life and career. He chose to step away from the bright, celebratory lights of major Broadway musicals, which no longer matched how he felt inside. Instead, he decided to process his intense personal grief by immersing himself in the quiet world of dense, intricate mystery writing. Puzzles and mysteries required immense focus, and creating these complex plots allowed him to channel his deep emotions into structured, tightly woven stories and stagecraft. This deep focus led to another major creative triumph, this time in the world of thriller theater. Rupert wrote a highly unique and critically acclaimed stage play called Accomplice, which opened to the public in 1990. The play was filled with unexpected twists and kept audiences guessing until the very last moment. The mystery community was deeply impressed by his mastery of suspense, and the production earned him the highly prestigious Edgar Allan Poe Award for Best Play. Winning this award proved that Rupert was not just a great musician, but also a top-tier writer, capable of standing alongside the best mystery authors in the world. As the years went on, Rupert wanted to challenge himself even further, so he decided to make a major literary leap. Instead of writing short scripts for actors to perform on a stage, he sat down to write a full-length book. In 2003, he published his very first novel, a high-stakes psychological thriller titled Where the Truth Lies. The book told a dark and captivating story about a famous entertainment duo from the 1950s who become entangled in a mysterious death. The novel was praised for its rich historical detail, adult themes, and excellent pacing, proving that he could hook readers just as well with the written word as he could with a catchy radio song. The success of the novel quickly caught the attention of the movie industry in Hollywood. Acclaimed film director Adam Egoyan saw the cinematic potential of the story and decided to turn it into a movie. Rupert collaborated with the production team as his book was adapted into a highly stylized, provocative 2005 feature film starring major actors like Kevin Bacon and Colin Firth. Watching his complex characters come to life on the silver screen was a massive milestone for Rupert, showing that his creative vision could successfully cross over into the world of cinema. He had successfully reinvented himself as a master of suspense, but a sudden emergency back on Broadway was about to call him back to the theater to finish a tragic, incomplete masterpiece. Up next, discover how Rupert stepped in to save a major Broadway show after its original creators both passed away. rescuing curtains for Broadway. During the early 2000s, Rupert Holmes became the go-to writer for bringing famous stories to the theater stage. He spent years working on major stage adaptations of heavy-hitting books and movies, including turning John Grisham's intense courtroom drama A Time to Kill and the hit Hollywood movie The First Wives Club into theatrical productions. These projects required massive skill, as he had to take stories that millions of people already knew and reshape them so they would make sense inside a live theater. While he was busy with these adaptations, a sudden crisis occurred behind the scenes of a major new theater project, creating a tragic production vacuum. A team of legendary creators had been working on a new backstage mystery comedy musical called Curtains. However, before the show could be finished, the original book writer, Peter Stone, passed away. Shortly after that, the show's famous lyricist, Fred Ebb, also passed away unexpectedly. The production was left entirely incomplete, and the remaining team needed a unique writer who understood both complex murder mysteries and high-energy musical theater to step in and save the show. Rupert was the perfect person for the job, and he jumped in to execute a massive creative overhaul. It was a highly sensitive task because he had to respect the work of the creators who had died while fixing the parts of the show that were not working. Rupert completely rewrote Peter Stone's original narrative book to make the plot tighter and funnier. On top of that, he had to weave brand new lyrics into the surviving musical charts left behind by the legendary composing duo Kander and Ebb, ensuring that his new words fit perfectly with the existing music. His hard work completely turned the production around. Curtains finally made its grand opening on Broadway at the Al Hirschfeld Theater, starring the famous actor David Hyde Pierce. The show became a big hit with theatergoers who loved the clever combination of a classic whodunit mystery and a traditional musical comedy. The theater community heavily praised Rupert for successfully rescuing the show from disaster. For his incredible efforts, he was honored with the 2007 Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Book of a Musical. He had proven once again that he could overcome any creative challenge, but his long journey was finally leading him away from the busy streets of the city toward a quieter life filled with surprising historical revivals. Now we will find out what Rupert Holmes is doing today and how his oldest, most forgotten music suddenly made a shocking comeback: screenplays and Hollywood biopics. As the 2000s drew to a close, Rupert Holmes decided it was time to make a major change in his personal life, leading to what can be described as his Scarsdale exodus. For over 2 decades, he had lived in Scarsdale, New York. However, the town held deep, painful memories of his daughter Wendy's tragic passing. In 2009, seeking a fresh start and a peaceful environment to focus on his writing, Rupert moved out of Scarsdale and established a permanent creative residence in Cold Spring, New York. This quiet town along the Hudson River provided the perfect backdrop for his next wave of creative projects, which soon brought him into contact with old friends and new Hollywood opportunities. Shortly after his move, Rupert began a series of high-profile artistic partnerships with the legendary composer Marvin Hamlisch. The two brilliant minds teamed up to create a brand new musical theater adaptation of The Nutty Professor, the classic 1963 comedy movie originally created by Jerry Lewis. Rupert took on the massive responsibility of writing the entire book and all the lyrics for the stage production, while Hamlisch composed the music. The show successfully premiered in 2012, showcasing Rupert's ability to translate classic Hollywood humor into a live theater format. This partnership went even further when the duo reconnected to work on a major Hollywood movie project. Renowned film director Steven Soderbergh was making Behind the Candelabra, an acclaimed 2013 biographical film about the famous, flamboyant piano star Liberace. Because of their deep roots in the music industry, Rupert and Hamlisch were brought in to craft additional musical arrangements and provide valuable script insights to ensure the movie felt completely authentic. Tragically, Hamlisch passed away just before the film was fully released, making their collaboration on this brilliant HBO biopic an incredibly meaningful final project together for the two longtime friends. While Rupert was busy working with Hollywood filmmakers, his own past musical creations were experiencing a surprising rebirth. Way back in 1970, right at the start of his career, Rupert had composed a dramatic musical score for an obscure Western movie called 5 Savage Men, which was also released under the title The Animals. For 50 years, this music remained completely forgotten, locked away in studio vaults. However, in 2020, independent music labels and film fans discovered the tracking tapes, sparking an unexpected cult revival. The incredibly rare soundtrack was officially reissued on vinyl and digital formats, allowing a whole new generation of music lovers to discover a piece of Rupert's early genius that had been lost to time. Even decades after stepping away from the pop charts, Rupert's creative journey continued to twist and turn in the most unpredictable ways. Rupert Holmes proved that an artist never has to stay in one lane. From bubblegum pop and a song about cannibalism to Broadway triumphs and gripping mystery novels, his career remains a masterclass in creative reinvention. If you enjoyed the incredible twists and turns of Rupert's life story, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into music history.